That's nice.
Okay, we are getting ready for today's episode. We'll try to start around 9. Guys, because I answered a survey for Restream, we have premium features for a month. I don't know what will this will mean. At bare minimum, it's just like what's this? Custom backgrounds and stuff. Hence this. Wow! And our stream count is working today. Is this the power of premium? Is this gonna convince me to shell out too much money every month? Maybe. And instead of just 6 guests, we can have up to 10 guests when we don't even know the one guest. So, options! Very exciting stuff. Just because I answered a survey, see, I take the time to fill out surveys, people. I'm a sucker for things in exchange for surveys. More often than not, it's like a chance at a gift card. I don't get the gift card. So it's something. Facebook isn't connecting. I mean, I can't see, but obviously it's there.
Yeah.
Toby says I don't let him talk enough, so I'm going to shut up.
What?
You don't strike me as a chos kind of person.
Yeah.
We're sharing links because content creation is like 90% marketing.
Yep.
Ispamu.
Stomach's just crampy. I think the cold.
Bad timing
Yeah.
is the name of your game. So yeah, as usual, if you are watching, it helps if you leave a comment so that we can see you're there. Otherwise, we have no clue. You're just a number.
Yeah. The system doesn't really show us who's watching. Like it says right now, there's the number 3
On Facebook.
which we're not sure who those are. Oh, David has just liked it, so we know David's there. Hey, David.
Engagement is not necessarily watching.
Hello, I'm here. Okay.
In this case, yes, but you know, like normally when we see Joe, like tends to react to the video.
Mai
Okay.
says hi on YouTube. Hey, Mai.
Hi, Mai. Yay! Comment integration seems to be working. View count doesn't. Look! Custom background. And then also, no restream in the corner.
No watermark.
Yeah, no watermark.
McCoy is with us.
See, look. I can turn it back on. Wah.
What's that
Wah.
video thing?
We can put a video that we want to feature.
Why is it 27? I can't know.
Yeah, I temporarily have premium features for a month because I answered a survey.
Oh,
So
and there are comments directly appearing there that are not appearing in my monitor. Oh, no.
no, they're there. They're there.
Hey, RJ's there. Mark is there. So yeah, it's a good number of people tonight. And my nose is again getting itchy now that the show is time.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So, yes. But yeah, it's temporary upgrades. I'm not yet agreeing to take on premium forever. I think it's at least $15 a month, US bucks, not
Which is a
local
lot.
bucks. It's a lot of money for a show that earns us nothing. So, reminder that we're going to keep plugging that Thursday we're going to have our first guest. We're going to have Turing
Mhm.
Quinto over, drag queen, lip sync assassin extraordinaire.
Mhm.
We have some questions in mind. Toby has a game in mind, which is cool. But if you have ideas for what we can bring up, let us know. What do you want to hear from Turing? Or you can prepare your questions during the show.
Yes.
Thursday, because Thursday, we'll probably run a little longer than normal. Because hey, we have Turing, and then we'll most likely talk a lot about her online efforts
Mhm.
while in quarantine. She also has a show. It's not a drag show. It's an art. It's an art piece
Dead
thing. Dead
Flies.
Flies.
Yeah.
You might want to look that up, and we'll help her promote that. So, yeah. I just connected to a Baduy Pride viewer. He just added me on Facebook, and he's one of the people who comments like on YouTube, and I wasn't familiar with. So that's awesome. He's someone who goes to Obar also, and we'll try to. And he's here. Hey, RJ.
Yeah. Always happy to connect with more people who actually watch the show.
Yeah, that's why the show exists, so that we can socialize while in quarantine.
Mhm.
And yes, Thursday on Baduy Pride Thursday. Yes, I know the episode's going to be a title variation on that. So, yeah. Oh, it's almost 9:05. I guess we can start. You want to start?
Yeah. This is the week. Are you sure?
This is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
I still haven't memorized it. This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us. We talk about everything and anything, random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. Tonight, we are spending around 30 minutes talking about board games that you can play alone.
This was a topic suggested by McCoy for no particular reason.
And it seems to be quite a appropriate topic given with the pandemic still ongoing. Many of us are forced to, face the gaming life alone, or might be interested in exploring games and might have to do it alone because the option to go to board game cafes or hang out with friends isn't readily available.
Yes, and oh my gosh, we are running out of board game cafes, people. Was it recently like Ludo QC finally is wrapping up?
Yeah,
or wrapped up?
many of them are starting to close because the pandemic has just not been kind. So it's sad. We're facing a world with far less board game cafes once this is all over.
But they'll come back eventually when things are better. But yeah, this episode is really dedicated to all of you who don't necessarily live with someone you can play board games with.
Mhm.
At least we get to play. So we're gonna try to talk about a few tabletop gaming options for you
Mhm.
that you can play alone. And Toby, where you want to start?
So to try to simplify this episode, we were faced with the possibilities of having way too many boxes again on the table.
Toby likes having way too many boxes. He likes building his little wall during the show.
We're going to stick to not having the boxes and just talk about as many games as we can. Because when you talk about playing solo games or playing games that you can play alone, you have both digital and non-digital options ahead of you. And in this case, we will discuss it in, alphabetical order, and then we'll just jump between digital and non-digital. when
Really?
appropriate.
Is that how we're gonna do it? Okay.
This might be
we're gonna
easier.
do it. Okay.
Or do you have captions that
I got no captions prepared. Yay! It's been that kind of a day, folks. I just finished my third quarter review, so I got a lot.
So going in alphabetical order.
And David says, at least you can play with each other. Yes, we can. Okay. And then McCoy says, playing with myself doesn't sound right. Seems like a great idea. Yeah, I think a lot of people um, could get into playing with themselves or have already been playing with themselves all quarantine.
Mhm.
And we're just going to enhance your play.
Mhm.
So I filtered. This is not going to work. I filtered our Board Game Geek collection list as trapped by games that are exactly for one. Well, not
Mhm.
exactly, but can support one player. And
Yes.
to be fair, not all board games are one player games. And supposedly, out of our 600, well, almost no, we're over 600 games already. We have about 191 entries, and the first on the list, because alphabetical, is 51st State by Portal Games.
Yeah. So 51st State is one of those games where you build a tableau and you are able to map out how you stake out the territories, develop technologies, and ultimately just try to score high.
It is the base system that was used to create Imperial Settlers, which we
Mhm.
already featured on the show.
And that immediately tells you that both 51st State and Imperial Settlers have a solitaire mode that you can play.
Yeah, we haven't personally tried the 51st State version, I think, but the Imperial Settlers one, obviously, it's the later game. It's a lot more refined,
Mhm.
and it has more mechanism for it. The next one is one we haven't played, but it's in the collection, which is Adventure Games Monochrome Inc. So Cosmos, the publisher Cosmos, who does the Exit escape
Yes.
rooms, has come up with a new thing called Adventure Games, and it plays like a sort of mini campaign, closer to detective, but still more escape roomy, as I
Mhm.
understand it.
But I guess given how we've talked about escape room games so often in the show already, we could immediately lump them all together. That most, and I'm warning not all, but most escape room type of games, or I guess you could say puzzle games type of games, can be played solitaire if you're the type who you're playing alone or you don't like having to go through the riddle with other people. Then that's doable.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, escape room games are puzzles, and you just need one person to solve them. So
Mhm.
that's always an option for you to explore. It naturally there's a different social dynamic when you play with other friends, but yeah, solo totally works. The next one we haven't tried is Bonanza Ladies and Gangsters,
Mm.
which is a weird Bonanza spin-off. Bonanza is the bean game for
Mhm.
people who are familiar. So can't really comment on how that's going to go.
Mhm.
Virgo Brothers intrigues me. I feel like you'll still need like remote control players or something.
Well, Virgo Brothers is a game wherein it plays out like a heist. Think Ocean's 11 or similar movies wherein you portray specialized people with specific skills, and your mission is basically to break in, steal the stuff, and get out. There is a digital version of Virgo Bros as well, and you might want to check that out. It helps because just like all digital versions of board games, they make cleanup such a breeze. They make setup practically non-existent. So it's an interesting way to explore games. I dare even say that digital board games allows you to see if you've been playing the game correctly.
hey, that is true because in Through the Ages, we only figured out the population loss came from the bottommost
Mm.
row in that app
We
because
used to-
before we would destroy buildings.
Yes. My asks there's solo play for Burgle Bros.
Apparently,
I honestly think that many games count solo play as when you're able to play it as if you were handling multiple player roles at the same time. So Burgle Bros, despite there being different characters, the fact that there is no need to really hide information from each
Yeah.
character,
So-
you
so-
can play it
so we
solitaire.
figure a lot of the
Cooperative games.
cooperative games with open information that includes the likes of Pandemic and maybe even the Forbidden Island Desert
Mhm.
Sky games could support solo play because they are also quirky puzzles to
Mhm.
solve.
And then you also have stuff like deck builders like Legendary.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
So,
next is
continuing.
Castles of Mad King Ludwig. This at first surprised me, but no, because even Suburbia technically has an option
Yes.
where you're just trying to beat a score.
And both Castles of Mad King Ludwig and Suburbia both have an app version as well. I'm not sure if the app is still available though, because it was available many years back, and sometimes some board game companies discontinue support.
I've held on to my Suburbia app because it's an awesome app. So yeah, that's one. Totally recommend. And the Suburbia app comes with custom scenarios, so that really maxes out your solo play experience. Okay, and then for full disclaimer, most board game apps are not free, so
Yes.
which is not a bad thing. It's still a fraction of the cost of the physical game, and then you get to play it anytime you want, especially if you don't have other friends to play with. Okay.
Mark adds Elder Sign is fun with solo play.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, I know there is an app, but beyond having played the app a few times, I haven't really dove into Elder Sign. It falls under the same boat for me as Arkham Horror, wherein if I wanted a game that will last pretty long, I'd rather play a role-playing game.
But I figure the app might be not as bad as
Yes.
playing the physical board game, because then, yeah, no more cleanup. Because
Mhm.
like Mansions of Madness had so many little components you had to set up, and then it's like,
Yeah.
it's okay. Next on the list is Kaverna the K Farmers. And yeah, Kaverna has a one-player mode.
Sadly, I have not seen a digital version.
Yeah. So not quite as a dynamic. Charterstone, which is the legacy worker placement game,
Mhm.
has a one-player mode. Because to be fair, the story is pretty okay, and then it will just have remote control players on the board, right?
I'm not sure about the remote control players, but I do know there is an app available for Charterstone.
Mm.
I think it's also available in Steam, so you might want to look at that. It's interesting because it's a legacy game that's already now available digitally. So for those who always feel like, legacy games aren't fun because you can only use them once and then you destroy them,
There you go.
now you have something that is an option.
Next from our collection is Clacks, the Squirrel game. So I do kind of remember, that it does have a solo mode. You lose a bit of the dynamic of the game, but it's passable. Next is Deep Space D6. Only Toby has played this because it is literally a solo game.
So
Right?
it's a tiny solitaire game. It's made to be solitaire. It's basically a roll type of game wherein you roll the dice and then the numbers you come up with, then assign them as rolls into the ship that you're trying to survive, trying to help survive to the encounters. It's an interesting system. I liked it. I discovered there were expansions. I bought it as well. I don't think it's available in digital. I don't think it's easy to find, but it was an interesting thing. And I know there's a print and play version on Board Game Geek that
Okay.
you might want to check out.
Similar to escape rooms, a lot of the deductive games are
Mhm.
compatible with solo play. So both Chronicles of Crime and Detective, a modern board game, can be played alone. But again, because these are cases that you can only play once, a lot of times you feel like you want friends with you.
Yes.
But you could, yes, technically play them alone and solve the mystery yourself.
And with that, of course, that includes the Sherlock Holmes game.
Yes. Detective, in particular, also has like a mechanic for if you don't have them as active players, they become consultants, which still give you extra question tokens in the game. So I see there's a mechanical
Mhm.
effort to support solo play there. Dice Crawl apparently has a solo
Mhm.
play mode. I did not.
Yes.
I was not familiar
So
with this.
Jim Pinto's Dice Crawl does have a solo play mode. It's one of those board games we like because there's just so many dice to roll each time you're having your turns, and then you start losing dice as you play through the game. It has different character powers. It has different combinations. Remember, you could be a goblin paladin or a skeleton ranger and this and that.
So that's cool. Of course, we talked about this when we were planning this episode. Dinosaur Island. Dinosaur Island has a deliberate solo play mode. And it is always a good time to play Dinosaur Island.
Sadly, still not available in digital. It is a wonderful combination of worker placement, I guess like city building because you're building a little map, and then it has all these fun minis of
Theme
dinosaurs.
park building.
And then you have all these different goals to target.
Yeah,
Which then also
which
dictates-
gives you what objectives for you to follow even in solo play.
Mhm.
Randomly, don't step in it. The poop game you got for Christmas, apparently it has a solo mode because you're just doing the same thing. So hey, Dexterity Games, good job. The Dresden Files cooperative card game, because again, technically it's you against the board and it's a cooperative game, open information. So it can support things along. It's an option. There is an app for this already, if I'm not mistaken. But we haven't tried it.
Haven't tried it.
Okay. Dinosaur Island, of course, along with Dinosaur Island. So then it's like the long list of. I don't know why I bother flashing my screen, but it's like the letter E is all exit, 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 exit. So yes, exit. We've talked about it before. We love exit as escape rooms, and yes, they are all solo play compatible. First Martians, Adventures on the Red Planet,
Yeah.
which makes sense because Robinson Crusoe
So,
also
Yeah,
has solo
both. And again, Portal Games really makes sure that games are playable in a wider range of ways, whether it's scenarios
We
or
love you,
solitaire
Portal
modes.
Games. Sponsor us one day. We love you. Okay. Uh, this is Devious Folded as a solo play, and I totally get it. Folded is a dexterity kind of puzzle game.
Mhm.
You have a cloth with 16 different dishes printed on it, and the
Mhm.
basic game mechanic is you fold it in a way that you show the dishes on the
Yes.
order without folding across individual images.
It's a tricky little game because it forces you to think in various dimensions and it forces you to mentally fold things in your head. So it's perfect for people who want to learn to do origami better.
I have a higher average chance of winning against Toby in Folded, so I like Folded. But I have to get in the zone. If I don't get in the zone, or if I put my crab in the wrong spot, then I'm totally messed up. So okay. Fortune and Glory.
So Fortune and Glory is the pulp adventure roll and have fun, a merry trash sort of game wherein you play
We say
different,
that with love.
yeah, you're different pulp adventurers, everything from the anti-Nazi fist fighting guy to
Duke. I'm gonna say Dre. No, wrong Duke.
I was about to say the wrong one as well. But you're basically Indiana Jones analogs and like fighting against the Nazis or the mafia, running around the world grabbing treasures. I'm so sad it doesn't have a digital game. Only because
It's so big.
and it would be great to have a digital game in the sense that if you just want to dive in and play every now and then, that would have been nice. But no, sadly, it doesn't have that. Many of the Vital Lacerda games, like the Gallerist,
I'm surprised at the Gallerist.
Mhm.
How does that work in
I
solo?
think they are designed to have certain solitaire rules wherein you try to hit certain goals as you play. So Imperial Settlers, we mentioned that.
And Imperial Settlers Empires of the North also can support solo play. That's great. There is a Imperial Settlers Rolling Right, which also has an app.
Mhm.
So you can always play that as an app. Yeah. Kokoro Adventure of the Kodama?
Yeah.
Really? The drawing game? Oh, cool.
Well, I guess because you can just play it alone and see how high you can score.
That's true. Because ultimately it's a scoring game.
Yes.
I think a lot of ultimately by that pronouncement, rolling right games are typically
Mhm.
solo games.
Lots of roll and write games are available for free. There are apps which are not free that are available for both Android and iOS. But in terms of Board Game Geek, if you search, you will find a lot of roll and write games that are there for free. There have even been some recent releases specifically inspired by the pandemic that have been released.
Oh my God! Frustration. The board game store we like in Singapore, Games at PI, they had a post recently featuring that there is a new Singaporean board game, card game, and probably a card game, which is about beating coronavirus.
Mhm.
So they already have COVID themed games. It's crazy.
Locally, there is The Who by Balangay Entertainment, I believe, which is a COVID, it helps to educate and talk about COVID as well, but it's also a game that's out there. It's a local creation. You might want to look it up.
Not necessarily a solo game.
Yes.
We just brought up these things.
Actually, no,
random.
that was specifically not a solo game. That was more for family. But yes,
I am impressed that Legacy, the Testament of Duke the Crazy, has a solo mode. But then again, you're just making a family, so why not?
so Legacy, for those who don't know about it, it's the
Downton Abbey, the board game.
yes, it's the family building game wherein
Yes.
you go through generations, finding husbands or wives for your children to make sure that they have children
You
and the
will
line
curse the
continues.
daughters you have.
So you build your family tree. The solo experience flips it around, wherein you're supposedly researching your history and you have specific goals that you have to meet. So, for example, my grandmother married an Englishman. So you have to make sure that happens as you build the family.
Okay, I wasn't aware. I did. Good thing you explored that one. Okay, as we already mentioned, all the legendary deck building games have a solo mode. It's probably gonna be harder. I wouldn't recommend, but in theory, it should be just about the same because in all of the legendary games, the bad stuff progresses at the beginning or end of each turn.
Yes.
And then that applies to every player. So the rate of progression is the same, regardless of number of players. But you just, of course, you won't have the benefit of coordinate and things like that. But the legendary forums have like recommendations for what to do when you're playing solo.
Yeah. David just adds, making a family all by yourself sounds paradoxical.
Or mad scientist genius. I will make my own family. Guys, we just started on Raised by Wolves, so we're getting there. Okay. And thus my entire letter L is legendary. Oh my god. Okay, level 7. That old chestnut. Level 7 Escape, which, okay, it's a game that is practically in storage.
Yeah, it was supposed to be I guess, survival horror.
Survival? Question? Horror?
Because
question?
it had you adjusting your adrenaline to deal with threats, and if your heartbeat was too loud, that's where the enemies go towards you. If I remember.
Yeah. Okay, it's a game that you can play. Guys, Lord of the Ice Garden has a solo mode, and Lord of the Ice Garden is the franchise we've never heard of with the board game that is subtly awesome with minis and whatnot.
Inspired by a fantasy novel that has never been given an English translation.
It's also from was it Poland or is the Czech Republic? I forgot to remember now.
I forget as well.
But it's like The Witcher, except it hasn't been translated. The Witcher is only advantage that got it translated. But it's one of those, like, when you go to that home country, it's the
big thing.
It's the bee's knees. It's the shiz knees.
It's their Darna, or it's their...
I would say more, no, because it's like an epic franchise. So it's a thing. Of course, Mage Knight has a solo play mode. Toby has mostly played Mage Knight solo.
Mage Knight is still one of the high-ranking games in Board Game Geek, despite the many years that has passed. Its solo mode is there because of the fact that it has lots of scenarios as well that you can play.
Martians, A Story of Civilization.
Next.
Oh, the shame. Okay, Munchkin Panic, and I get it, because Munchkin Panic and like Castle Panic is basically a tower defense board game. So the core mechanic kind of works. You just have more things to defend.
The Urim just adds Terraforming Mars. We're getting there. We're
That's
moving
Urim's
alphabetically
answer to everything. Of course, Mythos Tales, because again, it's a deductive game like Sherlock, so yes. Pandemic. Okay, why is it only Pandemic in the Lab as highlighted as a solo? I guess it has official scenarios for solo.
Yeah, or it could be because In the Lab has that little mini game that goes on, so they specifically identify that as a solo game.
Like
I'm not
that?
sure.
I don't know. Pawikan Patrol has a solo
Yes,
mode?
they
Oh my God.
recently released rules for a solo mode.
And
for
yes,
that.
guys, Pawikan Patrol is on Board Game Geek. I made sure to list it. Yeah, we already talked about Robinson Crusoe, so yay, Robinson Crusoe. That's a lot of my letter R.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
Root.
Wow, why did it only highlight River Folk? That's wrong. But
No,
okay, because
it could
River
be that's where
Folk
they released
brought the
rules.
automata.
Yes.
Yeah. So starting with the River Folk, but you can download online, if I'm not mistaken. There are automata rules, and there are independent people who've like made a better bot rules for Root.
Yes.
But at the same time, Root has an app, and it looks awesome. I've seen other people play it, and they post on IG stories. But Root is a great game, and we will talk about it one time. We have to unbox the latest expansion, the Kickstarter edition. But yeah, officially with the Riverfolk expansion, it comes with automata rules. It's literally a robot Marquis de Cat, and you'll play through how to fight them and what they do every turn. Shadowrun Crossfire.
Well, yeah,
Because it's a deck building game.
Yeah, I've been playing that solitaire.
Shadows over Camelot, but the card game. Shadows over Camelot, the card game, is insidious because we already thought that Shadows over Camelot was super shady, and then compress it into a card game. It's ridiculously evil. It is. We've played it a few times. We have a copy. We still play the main Shadows more, but hey, it does support. It does support one player. Is that? Oh, it. Yes. So Root is it's on the Android and it's $500,
Yes.
which is cheap compared to main Root, and I think it's on Steam if I'm not mistaken. Sherlock Holmes. I already talked about that. Oh my gosh, guys! Space Alert.
Space Alert. Lovely, lovely Space Alert.
Toby, what is Space Alert?
So Space Alert is a game that you only need to play for 30 minutes. Sometimes less.
It's a lie, but yeah.
It's a game that's played in real time where you and a group of other players have to cooperatively program your actions in order to survive the many threats threatening your spaceship while at the same time enjoying the view and activating the screensaver. But yeah, it's played in real time, and then after you've gone through the real time, gameplay, you then go through it again to see if you really did.
Because
survive.
it has programmed movement. So,
Yes.
and a lot of times you mix up your program stuff. So it can technically be played solo.
Mhm.
And I think normally you'd say it only takes 10 minutes. The real time thing is like 10 minutes only. So yeah, and then resolution, you can't finish it in 30
Yeah,
minutes.
if I remember, it does have the Android rules wherein if you were playing with less than 3 players, you would have the Android which you have to encode actions to.
It's going to make it worse.
Yeah.
It's so hard to program one person. What more multiple characters? Okay.
Scrollopolis.
Scrollopolis. It's this cute little tiny wallet-sized game that we got recently. But because technically it's just building a city and then comparing to a score,
Yes.
then yeah, very easy for solo play, and it's travel friendly. It's amazing.
And the game itself is meant to be cooperative. Again, it hits all those.
Yeah. It's like SimCity in your pocket. Why not? Go get Scrollopolis. Okay.
Which is starting to reveal that lots of cooperative games only work because it's actually meant to be a solitaire game, and they just let other players do the other turns.
That's the complexity. That's the complexity. Because then when you have other people involved making decisions that you don't want to do, then that's the game. It's negotiating with guys. I think we should do something else. Suburbia! Yeah, of course. Suburbia has solo play, like we said, with Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Tank Garden.
We haven't looked into that.
It has a solo mode? Oh my god.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because it's just tiling and tableau building and all that. Okay.
Well, finally, Urim.
You can say it now.
Terraforming Mars.
So yes, because Terraforming Mars, ultimately, as long as you're just trying to beat your score and get a high score.
Well, you're also trying to succeed within the time limit.
Yeah, there's a number of turns.
Yes, you are forced to accomplish a full terraformed Mars within a limited number of rounds. And then if you do succeed that, beat your score.
And if you're curious, I'm literally drinking tea. I am drinking the tea. Okay. Manhattan Project, but it's the chain reaction mini
card
version.
game.
Yeah, the card game. So the card game has a solo play mode. Of course, again, because we did say cooperative games work for solo.
Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds allows you to play.
Oh, but then notice the Forbiddens weren't highlighted. So I guess they officially don't have a solo mode. I guess you'd have to control multiple people. Because the Thunderbirds are always on the board. So it's still like kind of possible. Tiny, epic, everything.
Yeah. So the full Tiny Epic line of what was their name of that company? Atmos Games, I think.
But so we have Galaxies, Mechs, Quest, and Zombies in our collection.
Yeah. So all of those have solitaire rules that allow you to again play through the system and try to score as much points as you can.
Tricarion?
Tricarion does have solitaire rules as well as dual rules, the 2-player rule set. We haven't tried either, but
yeah, we haven't played through our collector's edition. It was just an adventure figuring out where to put everything in the collector's box. We'll figure it out. Naturally, my letter U is all unlock. Unlock. So all those games are Upon a Fable.
Yeah, Upon a Fable is a worker placement game that has you building fairy tale locations and activating dreams and wishes in order to try to get points. So yeah, I think it can be played solitaire with the right steps.
Valeria Car Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Given it's a dice-based game wherein you try to generate the resources to buy stuff, it does have that approach.
It has a random mechanic, so then
Mhm.
you're not in total control of everything. Which is a Discworld game I didn't realize has a solo mode. I have to look into that. XCOM, the board game, is the last in our collection, but that makes sense because there's an app that gates the mechanisms.
Mhm.
So that is another game you can look into. Of all these games, which ones would you really highlight as like good solo experience? 'Cause just because it can support solo doesn't mean it's great at solo.
Mhm.
I mean, I definitely like. So we love worker placement. So the puzzle presented by the likes of Kaverna and Imperial Settlers and stuff. I mean, I think those are good examples of strong. We actually thought about the solo play mode,
Mhm.
so that helps.
Um,
Legendary, I wouldn't recommend it solo. It's possible, but it's like
it's not as fun.
not as fun.
For those who might like other board games, I sent in the chat the link to what is known as the My Automata solo resources. Someone has been kind enough to program solo resources for board games such as Great Western
Can you
Trail,
chat that link to me?
Calico, Near and Far, and the like. Let me just quickly send it to Rocky there.
So that I can send it to
Um,
the YouTube viewers.
As well as games like Star Wars, Outer Rim, Tapestry, Viticulture, and of course Wingspan. Basically, various games that already have unofficial or what's the word, funded automata rules available in drive-through or in Board Game Geek. Someone has made a coded version for people to try using it. There are also lots of board game apps that are available there that have solo mode, or at least have you playing against computer players. Everything from Carcassonne to Stone Age.
Galaxy Truckers app
Galaxy
is
Trucker.
awesome. And again, it has a separate campaign. People in the comments keep highlighting Wingspan. We don't own a copy of Wingspan, but
Mhm.
yes, there's a solo mode and for Wingspan.
Yeah. Manhattan Projects, Lords of Waterdeep, Star Realms, Through the Ages.
Stone Age was pretty good as an app.
Mhm.
That was a nice way to capture the game.
For those who like more traditional feeling games where you just roll and move, Talisman Digital Edition is there.
Talisman. Oh my god! And Toby spent a lot of time playing the Talisman app. It's insane. The duck agrees. I mean, in general, like a lot of the apps will let you play board games
Mhm.
on your own, so that's always a viable option for you. Some of the apps allow you to play online
Mhm.
with friends, and that's like I think that's the border of like when we're still talking about solo play. Because beyond that, like if you go to places like Tabletopia and the like, then you're like juggling for time and rooms and whatnot. Then it
Mhm.
really you're going back to the social experience.
But it does, give you that social experience that you might be looking for as well. So it's really a question sometimes of finding what works
yeah,
best.
do you just want to play, or
Mhm.
do you want to find a way to play with people remotely?
And the best is when you find apps like, let's say, Through the Ages that gives you all these solo play options, but at the same time allows you to play against other fellow human players if they're online. I know friends like Mai and Mitch, for example, often have a lot of Through the Ages matches with other friends.
Toby plays Through the Ages on his iPad while we're having board game nights because he's not content to play one game against us.
it's not that.
It's like, oh, because especially if there are newbies at the table that we've just trained someone to play game, he's two timing on us, and he's playing Through the Ages on the side, very casually. Like, let me. And worse, it's a scenario. It's not even just vanilla Through the Ages. It's like, oh, I have one leader for all of time. Let's see if he survives.
Or I have to catch up to 90 points ahead of you.
Yeah. So
I tend to lose. It's not like I'm like winning every time I'm playing.
because he's two timing, and he might win in the game that we're actually playing at the table.
Hey, doesn't often happen. I also have very terrible luck, which is why I will never really get into games that focus more on luck, like King of Tokyo.
But we love Dice Forge.
Yes, Dice Forge is still fun. Although I still am terrible at that. Remember, I'd
Yeah.
buy all the upgrades to generate money, and I'll only roll money once in the entire game. But yeah, So solo games are out there. The options are available, and this is just focused on board games and digital board games. Even role-playing games have solitaire options, but that might be an entire episode onto itself. And lastly, if you're not into role-playing games or board games, there are the adventure books. Choose your own adventure and similar game apps and websites that offer such an experience. Interactive fiction.
Or those interactive story games like Dream Daddy and whatnot, those
Yes.
things. Like
I think Dream Daddy Simulator. I think.
but they're basically animated storybooks
Mhm.
because you're just moving
Visual
from one
novels.
point to visual novel or whatever, interactive novel. So that's an option for you. But there's a lot of options, and we are 7 months into this quarantine pandemic situation. The
Mhm.
year is almost over.
Mhm.
Guys, by now you need to figure out your your gaming options.
You need to open up your doors to other options. I mean, maybe you've never been really into board games. Now's a good time to start.
And then there are a lot of, and then just pay attention to your app stores. A lot of these board game apps go on sale at random.
Mhm.
We've most of the games we own we've snagged and for different deals. Like I got a
Yes.
free copy of that on the road whatever roll and write game. I've never
Yes.
played it, but it's on my account. I'll play it one day. But it was free for a day, so I got it.
Beyond just the sales of the apps themselves, there are sometimes those sales from other bundles. I forgot the name of that bundle.
Humble Bundle.
There you go.
Humble Bundle or what's the other one? But Humble Bundle is your easiest because
Yeah.
it definitely has a lot of games that go on sale on, and whether it's Steam or mobile and stuff. So
GOG.
there are the occasional board game collections that come up. Everyone's reminding us now that
The Black Friday
is
sales
coming
are
up.
coming up.
Black Saturday is just a sad day.
And not to mention, in a few days, 10/10, which may mean sales for certain online shops as well.
And hey, I'm sure there's going to be deals for solo stuff on Singles Day at 11/11. So 10/10, 11/11, 12/12. We love our e-commerce holidays. Okay.
So yeah, that is a quick run through of all the games we had in our collection. And yes, there are many, many more options out there. So don't hesitate to check them out and see what you can find that will work for your solitaire experience.
Otherwise, break quarantine, sneak in, meet friends. Hopefully you don't get sick. Okay. So
That's more than 30 minutes, and we had a lot of fun. We hope you'll join us again next time.
So again, reminders that Thursday is Tours Day with Turing Quinto. So if you want some online time with this fabulous drag queen and our first guest show, then please join us on Thursday night at 9 p.m. If you have questions for us or for Turing for Thursday, you can send them into the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas for future episodes. Or just DM us, chat us, whatever. We're always open. You can also find us on Twitter, all Toby No Shade. That's him. And then I'm RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog. That's baduypride.com. All the previous episodes are there, as well as other stuff about us.
Okay. Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. What games have you been playing alone this quarantine? But like tabletop. And then be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Oh, no episode tomorrow. Random. Okay.